What does it mean to live a resilient life? I'm Ryan Manion. I lost my brother to war and my mom to cancer, and I've learned a lot about myself along the way. Now, as the CEO of Travis Manion Foundation, I'm on a journey to explore what it means to be resilient against life's many challenges. Join me and some incredible guests as we ask ourselves the hard questions and define what it means to struggle well. Well, welcome to another episode of the Resilient Life podcast. We have David Boreanaz here with us. Yes, thank you. I got it.
You guys did it great.
Fantastic. I went to bed last night just repeating it in my head.
Boreanaz. Yes. I remember I went to Malvern Prep, and it was always like, the teacher that would come in freshman year, and it was just... it was brutal the way they would.
Well, and I went on
Boreanaz,
Boreano. I've heard it a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So I've got you here in studio because you're a Philly guy.
Yes, I
which we love. We have a lot of Philly guys on, and I was thinking about. I've had so many Navy SEALs on the show.
Yeah.
But I've never had a person who's played a Navy SEAL.
Yes. So okay.
So
this is a first.
This is a first. Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm privileged and honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you graduated in '87 from Malvern Prep.
I'm gonna start dating myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I am 87. That's right.
87 because
the best decade ever, the 80s.
I saw that you graduated in '87 from Malvern Prep, and I'm thinking, I graduated in '98, but I spent many summers in high school at the Malvern Prep house down in Avalon.
Okay.
That was the best party house. I don't know if
we had a Malvern Prep house. I remember going to the shore, but I remember my junior year, I was kind of angst from the shore because every time I went to the shore, I always got in trouble. So my parents never allowed me to go to the shore. So I was kind of, you're not going to the shore because you're just going to get in trouble. One was for indecent exposure. I was mooning a friend as we were walking out. There's no lie in Avalon. And an undercover cop pulled over, and he literally arrested me for indecent exposure for mooning somebody.
That'll happen.
I was put in a prison, and my dad had to come get me, and that was not good. All right. And then the second year, it was drinking on the beach, and we got caught with beers. I ran away, and I got caught. And once again, my dad had to come down and pick me up. And I went home, and the next day I had to cut the lawn. And it was a very painful, torturous experience. But, and then after those 2 years, it was like, okay, now you're senior, you got senior week, you get to go to the shore.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing. So I was like, leading up to graduation, I'm like, my parents are never going to let me go to senior week. How am I going to figure this out? Yeah. So I was just like, you know what, Dad, you have to let me go. And I had to call him up. He was working the weather, and I think he was about to do the 5 o'clock forecast on City Line Avenue. I was like, Dad, come on. All my friends are going, and I got this 5-minute speech, and I knew exactly when to hit him up because I knew when he was going to be on the air. And I knew he was just like, I don't have a lot of time. Fine, you can go. And I was like, I'm out the door. So, but I don't remember a Malvern house, but I remember.
That must have come after, but there was Malvern house, and it was all summer long. They rented the house, and it was you knew the good party was at the Malvern Prep
You went
house.
full tilt, right?
Yes.
Like SEALs, they go full tilt. 100%.
There you go.
There's no games.
So what was your experience like? Obviously, you're a huge Philly sports fan.
Yeah.
And so Eagles, Phillies,
everything.
Flyers, Sixers.
I was inducted into the Flyers when I moved to Philadelphia in '78 with my dad, and we went to a Flyers game, and I was born in Buffalo, New York, and I was a Sabres fan. And ironically, Sabres were playing the Flyers at the Spectrum. And my father had gotten some seats, and they were up in the 700th level of the Spectrum. And the Spectrum was not an easy place to be rooting for the opposing team.
Yeah.
So at that
There's
time...
no place in Philadelphia that it's easy
Spectrum was a little rough. I
mean,
if I'm going to go back in the days of the Spectrum Veterans Stadium, now we're getting to some serious, injuries in the fans' stadium. It was quite a raucous group of people. And I think the Sabres had scored first, and I went up and jumped. Thought I was owning the Spectrum, and I got looks, and my dad's like, that's probably not a good idea.
Don't do that, kid.
But guaranteed by the end of the game, I became a Flyers fan. It was at that moment that the Flyers came back and actually won the game, but I was so won over by the enthusiasm and the environment that I was in that I instantly became a Flyers fan. So my induction into Philadelphia sports was Bobby Clark, the teams of the Phillies and like Pete Rose and Greg Luzinski and the Sixers and Dr. J and Moses Malone and Andrew Toney and like Ron Jaworski from the Eagles and Wilbur Montgomery and Harold Carmichael. So we had moved to Philadelphia at a perfect time because that was the precipice of when all the teams could win.
Yeah.
Either a Stanley Cup, Super Bowl, World Series. And the Eagles came close, and they lost to the Raiders in New Orleans, and it was like the Flyers came close, and they just kept losing, but the Phillies won, and with Tug McGraw. So I was instantly into that environment, and it was that one game that really put me over the edge.
Well, and I think I lived in 13 different places in 11 years. My dad's a retired Marine Corps colonel.
Right.
So I was born in North Carolina and moved everywhere and anywhere until we settled in Philadelphia. But my dad and my mom were from Philadelphia.
Okay.
My dad went to Lower Merion. My mom went to Conestoga.
Conestoga. I used to date a girl from Conestoga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was cool. Paige Vesperman.
There you go.
And she used to work at a tanning salon. She was always tanning.
As we all did.
I was like as we all did, right? It was like, all right. She's cool, man.
Yeah. So
she has a glow to her.
There you go. But we were diehard fans.
Okay.
Wherever we lived. And then
Right.
when we came back here, it was like, we're home. Right.
Yeah,
So my dad got season tickets at the vet. We still have season tickets today at the Link. But there is something, all of my friends from all the different places I've lived, they hate us. They hate us as fans.
Sure, why not? They love to hate us.
We're talking
bother us.
we're talking about Big Dom before we started recording,
Yeah.
and my friends that live in Texas and they're huge Chiefs fans. They live in Texas, but they're Chiefs fans. But they think Sirianni, Big Dom, they're the worst thing that ever happened to sports. And I'm like, well, I don't, and I think a little bit of it is there's jealousy around the passion we have for our teams.
There's jealousy, because we're winning.
Yeah.
And then if we lose, we just take it really hard. There's just a big difference in Philadelphia. The sports are like, when we win big.
Yeah.
When we lose, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's like, it's really bad.
Well, what was it, 2 years ago in the Super Bowl?
Well, let's just go last year when we lost. The Phillies lost to.
Well,
they were up. They had 2 games at home and they blew it.
I mean, every
They're
championship.
playing the Rangers this week, and they're like, that's where they should have been playing last year in the World Series.
Yeah. So my son is 9, and
Okay.
so he started getting into Philly sports in the last couple of years, and it's been like, we like take him to the top and then that's it, right?
It.
And I have watched him become this Philadelphia fan.
It's great.
Because he either loves the team or he hates them.
Yeah.
I'm never watching them again. I mean, this whole run with the Sixers, he's like, Sixers suck, He'll show up in his MB jersey by the end of the night, he's ripping it off,
Yeah,
and I'm
course.
like, and I'm just like, God, he's a true Philly fan.
Yep.
Like, that's what it is.
I remember when the Flyers were playing in the Stanley Cup, and they had lost to the New York Islanders, and we lost that series, and I was so mad that we had lost that game. I went upstairs and I was like, threw stuff in my room, tore it up. My mom was like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
She's like, it's just a game. I'm like, it's not a game. You
more
don't
than a
understand. It's not. It's more than a game. These are the people that I like. I love these athletes. They're like my heart. They're like, I bleed orange and black. Come on, don't tell me it's just a game.
Well, I was telling Sean here, so Sean's got season tickets to the Phillies.
Okay.
And my son's a huge Phillies fan. My daughter, Honor, who's a freshman in high school, like is obsessed with Ranger Suarez.
Oh,
so much
Ranger.
so that
Yeah.
she started writing to him, DMing him on Instagram. And someone said to her, she's like, Ranger's not writing me back. This was last year. She's like, Ranger's not writing me back. And my older daughter's like, well, he speaks Spanish. So then she starts DMing him in Spanish. Well, she sent him so many messages that she got blocked.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So her claim to fame is that she's been blocked. She's like,
By Ranger
Yeah,
Suarez?
by Ranger Suarez. She's still a huge fan.
All right.
But I'm like, that's the passion of Philadelphia.
He's on the
sports
mound
fans.
tonight, man. This is going to be a good series.
Yeah.
Heading into this week. I'm going to actually go to the game tomorrow, which should be fun. I can't wait.
I'll
for
be
that.
at the game tomorrow.
You
too.
will. All right.
Yeah.
We'll
So will Sean.
See you at the dugout club.
Yeah.
We'll do shots.
Yes.
Everyone's going to be
There
having
you
a
go.
good time, right?
So, do you miss that though? You're out in LA.
I do.
And you know that's not out there.
It's
It's
not.
so transient,
it's a different
right?
type of environment. Obviously, it's California's been very good to me as far as work's concerned in other areas of my life. But you bring that to California. It's like that's my team. The Phillies, the Eagles, the Flyers, Sixers. I'm a Philly guy, so and in being a part of that kind of group and seeing other people out in Los Angeles that are also Philly fans, Philly fans, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
When we get together, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like an unspoken language. You just see each other from afar and like
you can spot them.
You don't fuck with us, man. And we go to those opposing games, like when the Flyers play the Kings or Eagles play, when they play the Rams. It's like, hey, we're there and we're in full tilt. I think we overtake the stadiums. Which is the best.
It is the coolest thing when you watch a Rams game and you see all the.
That's what we do.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so and also with a lot of the teams I've incorporated into my character or to my shows, it's like I bring a part of them. The characters are fans of the Flyers. I work with the organization a lot. I've done a lot of charity work with them, so I incorporate the team emblem with my whatever. In Bones, I would be wearing something that would be dedicated to the Flyers, or I had Bobby Clark's portrait behind me in Booth's office.
That's cool.
Things like that I incorporate into my characters. And I think with Jason Hayes, he has the Flyers insignia on his gun, so it's all these little subtle things that I shout out to Philly through my characters.
I love it. Yeah. So when you come back here, where's the first place you go to get a cheesesteak?
Well, if I didn't say my mom's, it would be a problem because Patty has quite the refrigerator stacked with all the good breads and the cheeses and the meats and the cutlets, and the brisket. Like it's always the home cooked meal.
Love it.
It has to be the home cooked meal. I have to open up the refrigerator first.
Okay.
That's the first thing you do. I don't care what's inside, but you have to go and imagine there's good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Just the whole aspect of opening the refrigerator and standing in front of it and
that's an Italian mom, right?
Yeah, getting a slice of cheese, maybe something left over with peppers or some pasta that's been in there for a week, and my mom's like, "Don't eat that. We had that 4 days ago. That doesn't matter. It's cold. I'm eating it, right?" So that's usually the first hit. And then my mom usually makes me really good dinner, like cutlets, pasta sauce, homemade meatballs, the whole Italian thing.
Yeah.
If I don't make it home right away, I would go to Angelo's and get a steak. I'm a cheesesteak huge fan.
Okay, so Angelo's is your place?
Angelo's is my spot. I think it's the best steak around. It's the bread. Really, it comes down to the bread. And he's a breadhead too, so... He's a good guy. He's a friend of mine. I know him well, and he's just a phenomenal person. And so, cheesesteak off the street is always good. And
I'm a D'Alessandro, so...
okay. It's a little wet.
Yeah. A little wet?
A little soft. I don't know. It gets a little... I know I'm somehow or sudden I'm going to start to dictate what
Angelo's is good, but... Yeah.
Angelo's is good. It's amazing.
No, it is...
But last night we went and had dinner in the suburbs, and I went to a really good Italian restaurant, and I had and my son's here as well, and it was hilarious. So I ordered a veal chop. It was nice, and it came completely obliterated with too much sauce on top. At first they're like, "We want to put the sausage ragu." I'm like, "No, I don't need that on my veal.
Yeah,
we'll just take that off. Just go light sauce, and the cheese will be fine. And I want the long hots because the long hots will determine everything."
And you can't get long hots in LA.
No, you can't.
No.
So it came and it was muddled in sauce, which I totally tore off, and the veal was fantastic. And so I had some long hots, and my mom loves long hots too. So we're like throwing down long hots. So my son's like, "Yeah, I want to try some of the long hots." So we give him a hit, which is where the seeds are, that's the hit. Well, he was drinking water afterwards. He had to get milk, the whole thing. And then I had some. I was like loving it. I'm like, this is your induction to true long hots right now. You're having it.
And I think long hots are for those that don't know. I've never had long hots anywhere but Philadelphia.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know
Do they exist anywhere else?
I don't know if they exist anywhere else. If you go somewhere else, like I've been like, do you have long hots at the grocery store? They're like, what?
What is that?
They show me like
Cooper
jalapenos.
Sharp. I can't get Cooper
Cooper Sharp. That's another one.
That's a tough one.
But the great thing about long hots is you never know what you're going to get. Because
you
could
never know
have
what's going to hit you.
Yeah, you could have the hottest long hot ever.
Oh, yeah.
Or you could have a super mild one. So
Yeah.
it's just a gamble. You throw a long hot on a hoagie and you're like...
It's the seeds.
Yeah.
You get the seeds, you're done. And this morning it was not happy. So I was like, I had doing this podcast and I got hit with the long hot. I was like, fuck me now.
The long hot hit.
I was like, okay.
I love
said,
it.
way to roll. Okay. This is before the coffee.
Okay,
All
good.
right.
Well, let's talk a little bit about SEAL Team. So you've got your 7th season coming out.
Yeah.
And not only do you act in it, but you directed many.
Yeah, direct, yeah.
Yeah.
Executive produced, yeah.
And so I'd love to know, because again, I was saying, I've had Jack Carr, Jocko Willnick, Leif Babin.
Yeah.
You think of any well-known SEAL, they've sat in this chair.
Oh, cool.
And
okay. I know Jack.
Jack's great.
Have you gotten Mark Owen?
I haven't had Mark Owen.
Okay.
No,
he's the interpreter of this show. He's the inception of it.
Okay.
With Chris Chulak, who sold the show, I think, first to Steven Spielberg and HBO, and didn't develop well over there. And then it found its way over to CBS, and at the time was incorporated that way, and that's how it all came to be. And I was infused by it through a meeting with Chris before they had shot the actual pilot of the show. And at the time, I had known of the script and had gone in and met with him just purely from a directing perspective, just to direct shows. And because he's a phenomenal director, he's done ER and Shameless. He's a top dog. And at the time, I had known about it, and we talked, and then they wanted me to do this show. But at the time, my son was playing ice hockey, and they were shooting in New Orleans. And I said, well, first of all, I'm not going to do a show in New Orleans because there's no ice. Sorry, my kid's playing ice hockey, and I'm on the ice. Where am I playing ice hockey in Louisiana?
Yeah.
That's not happening, right? It's like, so, and in the show, for me, the character at the time when I read it on the page just didn't have the bite that I wanted to really kind of get into. And so I was like, I gratefully just passed on and said good luck. And literally 3 weeks later, they were shooting. They were in New Orleans, and I get a call, and they're like, the person that we hired is not working out, and we have to shoot on this ship tomorrow, and we have a C-17 on the tarmac, and would you reconsider the role? And I was like, okay, game on. Now the positions have changed, and I'll be able to negotiate a little bit better.
Right.
Shooting the series in Los Angeles, and which fortunately it worked out. So my inception into the series was also like, I didn't really understand what SEALs did. I didn't know who they were, what they were all about. And I was sitting there and I was talking to my wife, and she's like, you do realize like SEALs are like the baddest motherfuckers around. Like, I'm like, no, they're like Marines? No dig on Marines. I'll get to that later. Okay, 100%. But I'm like, yeah, they're like Marines. She's like, no, you don't understand. Like, a SEAL is like considered the top. Like, I'm like, I didn't really do much about their community and didn't know much about their history. Mm-hmm. And at the time, Mark Owen was very kind in calling me up and being like, whatever information you need to know. And I knew a little bit about his story, read his book, and I was like taken in by this character that I could develop into something more than what was there. And I didn't know much about SEALs, and it just, from that inception on, hearing that, saying they're the baddest motherfuckers around, and now cut to 8 years later, my body going, what the fuck did I just do?
That's how you feel.
That's how I feel. Yeah. In a way of like, I'm so grateful and honored to was able to portray that. But I also was into the minds of these guys. I was also into the physicality of these guys and how they tick, how they work, how they operate, how they live their lives, how they experience certain situations, how they're affected. For me, it was like a tornado. It was this immense weight that was put on my shoulders that I got broad shoulders to begin with. My mom said when you were being born, David, his doctor said, "You better be a boy because his fucking shoulders are fucking wide." And I felt that at the end of 8 seasons. And there's a lot to get into this show and what SEALs are all about for me, personally, professionally. How I
Did you have any connection to the military prior to the show? Anyone in your family served?
My dad worked in the Armed Force Radio. He was stationed in Panama. Uncle who was POW, the Korean War. So I had friends that were also in the military. So my connections were slight, but weren't not. They're kind of like surface. They weren't really deep.
Right.
People that my cousins were in the Coast Guard. So. But I wasn't like high up ranking. To me, I didn't really think about it. I mean, I did a character on Bones. He was an Army sniper, so he was Army, but it wasn't really about that, right?
But
It's different.
Did you know, because, one of the biggest things with the SEAL community is their, quiet professionalism.
Of course.
And this idea that, did you feel any of the pressure of, I better not screw this up?
No, I didn't really, because I'll tell you why. I didn't think about I was going to screw this up. I was just uncomfortable with the fact that I was with the right people.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't about saying I have to portray this person a specific way, or I knew that the people that were behind this were doing it right.
Yeah.
This was a legit
So you had
situation.
Because there have been shows that have just gotten slammed. I mean, because they get it so wrong, they can't even put the right uniform on. And
you watch this show, and I guarantee you will come away from this show feeling a sense of understanding that we did it right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I pride myself so hardly on now.
Yeah.
And even going into it, it was like the people that are there that were your support, right? You're only as good as your weakest link. That support system got me through. That support system surrounded me and brought me up, right? I was able to learn that and bring that other person up. It's side by side. It's never above or below, right? Yeah. As you know. And that to me was the understanding of that philosophy. I was just more concerned about growing my fucking beard because I can't grow a beard that well. I remember Chris telling me, David, don't shave because, they grow their beards out. And I'm like, I'm fucked. Okay, I'm going through puberty now. I'm 55, and I'm fucking still going through puberty. I still can't get a full beard. I can't get it. No beard extensions. I was like, I was more concerned about that. I think that it was such a grounded, 100%. We're doing this real show.
Yeah,
and we did, without a doubt. There's no question.
7 seasons or 8 seasons. Yeah. Obviously. That's a testament to that. It
is. It's the gear that we use. It's spot on. You can look at our gear and you cannot find a flaw.
Yeah.
We're wearing kits that some DevGru guys and SEALs aren't even wearing yet.
Well, the best thing is when you're sitting around and you're watching a show and they're portraying someone in the military and you're around a bunch of veterans and they're like, what the fuck is that? Right. Like the ribbons are wrong. The colors how did they not just grab a veteran as an advisor to this show too? And clearly you guys had that.
We had Mark, we had DevGru guys, we had Tyler Gray, we had guys that were ex-SEALs that were there. Not only working with us, around us as players on the missions, but also in the writers' room, people that were on the crew.
Yeah.
So we did it right, and to me that was the only way to do it, and practically too. When I say practically, we shot it practically. We're not in front of green screens. We're not rolling around on wires. We're in Blackhawks. We're coming out of Blackhawks. We're roping down. We're firing. We're shooting rounds. We have the best armor in California in the country. Our gun safety is hugely dedicated to that. Our armor is the best. Mike Papik is considered the best in the business, from films to television. And we have the real guys. So, we're going in and doing specific missions or hits or sequences. We have the real guys there telling us how to do it. And to me, that's what really sold me. So when you ask me, did you feel pressure to get it right? It's like, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I was thrown in like, this is boot camp and you have to, I aired in 2 days into a pilot that they needed help with. I had no idea. I put gear on. I was like, I can't see how these fucking nods that they fucking put on this helmet on. It fucking feels so heavy. And then I'm on top of this cargo carrier and I got these guns and I got to do this dialogue. The wind's whipping. I can't even fucking see. I'm like, what the fuck did I get myself into? Right? And then there's a sequence where I jump into the water off the top of the bow and I'm like, I go in full gear, thinking I'm going to swim this out. They're going to pick me up. I'm getting weighted down. I got the helmet on, the gun on, and I got a 7mm wetsuit on. Now it starts tightening and I start cramping. And I'm like, help. Stunt guy not coming. Yeah. No cut. Right? And then the boat that's supposed to pick us up goes by me, misses me. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm squeezing now, like I can't fucking breathe. The cast boat finally comes back. The stunt guy does not come and get me. Pulls me into the water, slams my fucking head into the bottom of those tube boats. I'm bleeding from my fucking nose. I'm trying to get the gear off because I can't fucking breathe. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck am I doing, right? I almost like literally got squeezed to death.
But did you, in moments like that, do you think about like...
I think about what the fuck am I doing?
Well,
I'm thinking, obviously, it's like, there's like, I'm feeling like I almost am dying, right? Literally dying. And no one's there to rescue you. And this, we can go back to the philosophy of what SEALs are all about and training. Like, no one is coming to rescue you. Yeah. You need to learn how to take care of yourself, right? Yeah. And at that instant, in that pilot, when I was fucking drowning and I couldn't breathe, I did. And it was like, fuck it. We're going to continue shooting. We're not going to go back to the fucking boat and do this whole like, are you okay? Like, that was my mentality. I was like, okay, I'm fine. I can breathe. I'm back. The medic's like, do we need to take you back? I'm like, fuck you. Get the fuck away from me. Let's fucking shoot. Game on. That's where I was baptized. I felt like at that moment, I felt like it's critical. Now it's critical. Now I get it. Now I understand. And I saw this like shadowy figure on the other boat where the cameras were. And it was Matt Bissonette. He's watching and then you could see his figure go back in the shadow. It was like, yeah, that's our guy. And it was like, I knew at that moment that this was the right thing to be doing, even though I was like, I should have been.
And that was the pilot.
That was the pilot. Okay. And I was like, I just finished shooting Bones for 12 seasons. I was like, I'd rather be in Hawaii. And here I am almost fucking dying in Louisiana. There's a fucking alligator. I'm sucking water. I got hepatitis A probably, and I'm fucked. Now, it was that moment where I clicked and I got it. Yeah. And I think, I know these guys go through that, so it's and that they go through it a lot harder than I fucking did.
Yeah. Well, looking back over the course of the last 8 seasons, what do you feel, if there was one takeaway that you feel like you've learned about the greater military community?
The support that it has, the community is such a very special, kind community that is there to lift you up, right? Yeah. Because when we start to get into what these men and women do and their sacrifices and their losses, experiencing, what they've experienced, I've just learned that the community is it's really difficult to kind of put into words for me because it's very emotional too. There's a light to it. There's a light. As hard as it is and as difficult as it is, there's a thin thread of light to it that is purely a helping force, that is a support system that is there for you. And regardless if you think like, I got to do this on my own and I was trained to do this and I got to be this hard person, they're the complete opposite of openness and vulnerability and kindness and like, I'm here for you. Yeah. And I that's what I take away from it.
Did you feel compelled because, again, there's less than 1% of our population that serves. And I always say, and Jack Carr and I had a lot of conversations about this with, his book being turned into a series and the idea that it is so important for us to be putting these stories out there to the general public.
Right.
Because I truly believe that the number of people that decide to serve our country and the way that it is going down is a big part of just lack of general awareness that opportunity exists. And I think there is a stigma. In fact, I will tell you that when my brother was killed, he went to LaSalle High School, went to the Naval Academy, and I'll never forget, it was not your dad's station, but another local news station. A reporter showed up at our house and walked into my parents' house, and the first thing he said was, "Oh, I didn't realize that kids that were Marines grew up in houses like this." And it was this weird idea that kids that join the military have no other option. That the only option that exists for them is to join the military. Right. Not that they made this conscious decision to serve their country and also be provided the opportunities that the military affords you.
Right.
And so I remember that so vividly, thinking what did this guy think? That my brother was a 17-year-old that was failing out of high school and he had to enlist in the Marine Corps, And so for me, that has stuck with me all these years. And I think it's really important to put stories out there to in any way, shape, or form, whatever it may be, but to put stories out there that positively portray our service members.
Right.
And, so I gave big credit to Jack when his books got turned into a series, and Jocko, again, another very well-known Navy SEAL. Yeah. He's got his book Way of the Warrior Kid. It's a kid's book. It's being adapted into a movie, and it's about a Navy SEAL who mentors his young nephew who's getting bullied. Yeah. But these stories are super important.
I think they are, and from our perspective, it was really special operators and what they go through, and it brings up, I guess, two different types of views on it. And I agree with you. I think that more stories need to be told that are, because they're tough sells, right? Military shows kind of they're either really, really bad and they don't last long, or they're really, really good and they're they're not popular, or they don't click, or they don't pop with certain people. There are certain movies that have been made that have been fun to watch and have been fantastic. But I think that the stories at a whole people look at it as, and my father, we talked about this also, it's been going on since Vietnam, right? And even World War II and the Korean War. It's we celebrate them, but we don't honor them the way we should feel. I don't think we do. I think that, it's oh, you must be poor, you want to join the military because you have no life. Right. That's not the case. Yeah. There are people that are consciously want to serve this country for the love of their country, and also are very smart, intelligent human beings that are not degenerate people. You know what I'm saying? When I say degenerate, I mean people that have no other choices, right? They're just living in this is my last line of. And I don't know where that comes from. And that can be portrayed through decades of false information and marketing. It really is.
Listen, I've got a daughter that's heading off to the Naval Academy. We were at the dentist last week, and the dentist said, "Why are you going to the Naval Academy?" And she said, "Because I want to serve my country." And this is a 17-year-old kid who could have gone to a lot of different D1 colleges to play lacrosse. Right. And she consciously chose the Naval Academy because she looked at the opportunity it afforded her.
Right, of course.
And, and it's not, she was born into it, right? So she comes from a military family. So it wasn't some big shocker for us that she had this profound, I want to serve my country. Right. But for us, it's how do we make sure that every young kid across this country knows that opportunity exists for them. Right. And I'm not here trying to recruit every kid to join the military. Right. It's not, it's not going to happen. Well, but I think kids need to understand about servant leadership and about service in one way, shape, or form.
Respect, responsibility, accountability. Yeah. It's more of it's a way of life, right? Yeah. But it's also, I think the stigma also, it's war. You can get killed. You can get shot. You can there's a dark side to it that I think is also interesting. And for us and our shows, we brought light to that darkness.
Yeah.
We wanted to show that darkness. We wanted to show the mental capacity of what they have and how it fails them. We wanted to show how they were turned down in society. We wanted to show them their struggles of a tier 1 operator and what he went through, right? And we wanted to see those dark corners and those demons because we think that that's important. We want to say, like, these guys and girls suffer and they need help. So we came at it from a very different perspective. Now, when people watch that and they go, well, I don't want to be flying around in a helicopter and a Black Hawk and being shot down and by, they call them boogers in Afghanistan. Like, I don't want to be fighting terrorists, but, everyone has a calling, right? And when 9/11 happened, a lot of people joined because they wanted to protect this country and they wanted to serve, and so be it, and they did.
Big misconception too about the military is your show is SEAL Team.
Yes.
Your show is about, as you say, the most elite group. I beg to differ. I think Recon Marines fall into that category.
Well, they kind of clean up the mess after we get the job done. There's a reason why we go undercover.
But
we're calm.
Yeah, but out of this small group of...
You can grunt. It's okay.
Of service members, like, they are the 0.00. Like, listen, do I want my daughter jumping out of Blackhawks? No. I'd like her to be like a public affairs officer,
right, course,
but like, and that's what I always say to, my 9-year-old son right now. If you ask him if he has any interest in the military, he absolutely does not, because
the way it's presented.
Because for him, he thinks about I'm named after my uncle Travis, who was killed in Iraq.
Right.
My middle name is Brendan, named after a SEAL who was killed in Afghanistan.
Right.
Like, a 9-year-old boy's not like, I want to sign me up for that. He likes to play with his Army guys, but he wants to be a football player at Clemson right now.
Great.
That's his dream.
To be a Tiger.
But I always say to him, like, listen, if you like to cook, you can be a cook in the military.
Of course,
like,
you can.
Literally
There's other things
you can be
do.
an accountant.
I agree.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see that light. It would be great to see shows that examine that. I mean, Private Benjamin was hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm just saying, it would be good to see other avenues of storylines. And, being on a show for 8 seasons about SEALs and the military community, of course, my mind creatively thinks of those types of shows.
Sure.
And
maybe it's not a show. Maybe it's not a show that gets that done, because I don't know.
I think it doesn't have to be a show.
Right.
It can, I think it's great that these people who were, in our servicemen and women are writing books. When it gets to Hollywood, it gets a little bit miscommunicated sometimes, and it's very difficult for them to understand that.
Yeah.
There are times when you take the realistic approach of a subject matter and bring it into a story subject matter, and there's a way of shooting that you have to find a balance to. There's also an understanding of that the military, the people that come from the military world have to find that balance, as well as the people that are shooting that show have to find the balance, because it does get frustrating.
Yeah.
The efficiency of a military family I walked in this house, it's efficient. We got tape on the floor. It's clean. Trust me, Patty, I check. I'm OCD, so I know there's no dust on any of these fucking
retired
tops.
colonel as a father. That's all I can say.
Exactly. You're ready to roll. But I think that there's any way you want to crush this stigma, I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
I being from my perspective and what I've seen from the communities and working on this show for 8 seasons, I'm now just starting to understand and absorb how people operate.
Yeah.
Really how they operate. Good, bad, indecisive, whatever that may be. It's going to take me a good download, maybe a year, to kind of understand it even more, because I was so absorbed into it, and it was so obsessive about it that I need some space and to heal from it as well.
Yeah, I get that.
As crazy as it sounds, but it's a very interesting topic as far as talking about the people that want to make these shows and write these books and these movies, and they want to say, I was the one who shot Osama bin Laden. Are you? Look, everyone has their experiences, right? I don't want to get into that, but
let's not go there.
I think the beauty of, for me, I'm not going to go there, but I will say that I have been fortunate enough to be a part of this community.
Yeah.
And I love it to death. And I also, it rubs me wrong sometimes to death. You can't have one thing. It can't be perfect, right?
Yeah.
There's always got to be the antagonist to it, right?
Well,
I'm sorry, but there is.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
It's life.
I'm the biggest promoter of the military community there is, but I'm also not blind. Like, every community has its issues, right? Of
course.
And so
it's life.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm not like, oh, you're a veteran, that means you must be a good person. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
there is a lot of insider stuff that happens that's really hard to watch.
Yeah.
And hard to see and be a part of. And I've seen it and I've done it. And it's from my perspective only, if somebody just, doing a show. So.
But I think that's so important. And what I love is this idea that new people with a higher profile like yourself can be brought into a community like this and gain that deeper appreciation and understanding.
Yes.
And, again, when we are at an all-time low for recruitment, the only branch that has met its recruitment is the Marine Corps, because they're always going to meet it. But when we're at this huge recruitment crisis, like, we need people advocating and out there and talking about it in a positive way.
I agree with you. Well, our environment does not really support that right now.
Yeah.
And I think that our show never had a political agenda.
Right.
So and you know this, special operators have a job to do. And regardless of the views of the politicians or the cake eaters, they call them, they don't care. They just go about their job. That's their mission. This is capture, kill, whatever, it's done. Next, right? And it doesn't really matter what's going to do to my mind. It's not going to matter what's going to do to my body. They don't think that way until it starts to creep slowly and destroy them. And that's the sad part.
Yeah, and it's interesting because during my brother's second deployment to Iraq, it was at the height of the surge. And there were very mixed feelings on whether that was the right move. It was, and at that point it was either you add more troops or you pull out. Like, that's where we were. And people were asking Travis, like, what do you think? And he's like, I don't. I'm not thinking about, is this the right move? That, like, this is what they're doing. There's a surge, and we're going to execute, like you said. Yeah. Like, they are not thinking about, all right, let's look back at the people. They're not sitting at the table making those decisions.
No.
But they're going to execute on whatever the decision may be. And I think that's the beauty of the military community and how they operate. And you look at today, our country as a whole, and you look at all of the issues, the divisiveness, the separation that's happening. And I always try to tell people to look back to the military community, because if you look at it, there is no more diverse group of individuals that come from different backgrounds, socioeconomic classes, anything, than the military. One of my favorite conversations was with Chris Long. I had Chris on, and we got into it about kneeling for the flag. Yeah. And like, in a big way. And the best part about it is, like, he came to it. I don't know if I understood him as much, but I had a big problem with that, and
the problem with what the flag with, like,
I had a problem with him kneeling for the flag.
Okay.
So and he said he was doing it to support his teammates.
See, I agree with you.
And I said, but, like, you're taking what the flag represents and you're giving it different meaning. Like, for me, when I look at that flag represents the freedom we have as Americans. 100%. That flag represents my brother who gave his life, 100%, but the great thing about it is, like, we got tons of great feedback on that. We didn't come to, like, I agree with you, you agree. Like, we ended it disagreeing, but it was a great conversation in how we could have a conversation. Right? And not it be so divisive.
Listen, I agree, and on a lot of levels, when you look at the flag, what does it mean? What does it support to you? What all of that is, and everyone has their opinions on certain things, and getting into where the environment is and where our world is today. There's too many holes. Yeah, there's way too many. We were shooting in Colombia, and we were sitting at the Marriott there, and I ran into people that were big fans of our show, and I made friends with, DEA, U.S. Marshals, guys that work in that sector in Bogota, and great guys and great women, and what they have to do just in that area. It's we have way too many holes in our. We're just like going about having our Starbucks or drinking out of these fucking thermoses that are colors, right? That are whatever. And not thinking about, the Stanleys, the fucking Stanleys. The only Stanley I would want to drink out would be a Stanley cup, right?
As my 17-year-old daughter just walked out with her big Stanley.
It's got the God bless them all. My 14-year-old's got this. Listen, I get it. It's like it's just over obsessionness of it. It's like it's like I was at a barbecue when I first got here. It was in my friend's house, and they're drinking the stateside stuff, man, right? Surfside, stateside, right?
Yes,
that's the hottest fucking drink. Let's go to the shore, and it's great marketing. It's like it looks like a Philadelphia thing, and it's like it's blown up.
I
and
like
it's a
the
local
High Noons
Philly.
personally.
Okay, all right, whatever. Yeah, High Noons. I'm like, for us, it's Happy Dad. It's on the West Coast. Everyone has their different opinions on certain things, and that's great. It's your opinion, and you should be welcome to it, and you should be able to express that without. You should agree to disagree and still be able to get drunk together. That's the way I look at it.
That is such a great way to put it.
That's a problem that we have in today's society.
Yeah.
It's like, I just don't need to be told what is right and wrong. I'm sorry.
I actually love the way you said that. Like, we can disagree, but we should still be able to get drunk together.
We should be.
Yeah.
And we can get drunk on laughter. We can get drunk on life. We can get drunk on a moment. We can get, you can get drunk on anything, right? If you prefer alcohol, that's great. Do your thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to judge you. I don't want to put you in a box. You do you and be happy. But the minute you start to push stuff and make an agenda on what you think is like, that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It's not what we're about.
I think that's going to be like the quote underneath the episode. It's like, we should be able to disagree but still get drunk together.
That's right. There exactly. I like that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let's talk a little bit about your love of plant medicine, because we were talking about this a little before, and I'm super interested in this.
Right.
And so you went to Costa Rica.
I was in Costa Rica. I went to a place called Arrhythmia, and I was fascinated by its overall openness about it. And when I say openness, I mean its acceptance to, healing and understanding your vehicle. And understanding how we all tick, right? We all have demons. We all have traumas. We all carry inside of us these pressures and guilt and whatever that is associated with, whatever traumas you may be holding on to. And it was something I was called to personally, and I'm glad that I went because it opened up not only my eyes, but my heart. It balanced my ego. I was able to see miracles. And when I say see, I was able to visually see in ceremony people that came to me, right? Spirits, there are shamans that are there that recognize.
Let's go. So you go to Costa Rica and you're basically partaking in psychedelics.
Psychedelics to a point of saying, okay, these are natural. There's not chemicals. It's ayahuasca is a root. Okay.
So are you, like, I've seen
indigenous communities.
Are you like lying in a bed?
Yeah, well, they call it a maloka.
Okay.
Where you go and you experience the ceremonies. Now, when you go, when you first sign up. Let's go back to when you first sign up. If you get called to do it, you're going through something in life, and you say, oh, you get this information. What is this ayahuasca? I don't understand it. And it's like someone's calling. She's calling you to go. You get the information. The minute you sign up, all these truths start to happen in your life. You start to see things because it takes about 30 days. You have to go through a deity. You have to be off like certain prescription medicines. You have to go through an evaluation. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to sign up and go fucking pop mushrooms.
Right, right.
Hang out, listen to the dead. I did that in college. I'm not going to go look at cartoons and fucking freak out for an hour or two.
Show.
And it's like, we've done that, okay? All right, and think that my parents are going to be calling me any 10 minutes. It's not happening. So you go through this beautiful ritual routine. And
are there medical doctors there?
Yes, there are medical doctors there. It is supervised, which is fantastic. And I highly recommend that for anyone thinking of doing that or being called for first time. Is like, the other way is you go to a tribe and Colombia, and you're doing Yahe, which is 5,000 years old, and you're with one dude who's a doctor, doesn't speak any English, and you're freaking out. That's not the right way to do it. I don't think personally.
I mean, I have anxiety thinking about it.
I'm already, anxiety. So you're already tripping out.
Yeah.
So you go and you check in. It's a beautiful, I would say kind of like a Four Seasons. It's nice. Okay. You would love it. Being a Marine, right? You would love it. Because looking at this house, you love the Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carlton. You have your little cup there, the Timmy or the Stanley. You got a Stanley. You're all about the G-Wagon, maybe BMW. It's all good. Life is plenty. You got your Sambas on. Life is rolling. I'm hearing my Gucci's. We're good. So you show up and you speak to the people that are there, and they're, they kind of help you. You check in your room. It's great. You start breath work classes. So you do breath work at first in the Maloka, which is kind of like a yoga studio. Okay. You can do yoga. You do breath work. They got a spa. You sit in the cold plunge. You do the mud work. You get one with nature. That. You'll love all that stuff. Okay. And then you start your classes on Monday, and they tell you what you're going to be experiencing when you do the ceremony, when you take ayahuasca for the first time. Okay. They say what you may feel, what you may not feel, what your intentions are. Why are you here what are your intentions? Like, I would like this to happen or that, or I want to work on this in my life. You put those intentions out. You have class, then you have a meal, then you go to ceremony. The first day, everyone's nervous. They're freaking, there's 45 people in a room. There's a mattress, there's a bucket, and a roll of toilet paper. Because you're going to throw up, you're going to purge, you're going to need that toilet paper. You're going to get to the bathroom. It's going to come out on every end. You're going to purge. Meaning purging is getting rid of your toxic mentalities, your ego, right? You're throwing it down. You're literally physically getting it. That's where they want you to be. Okay. So you go and you take the medicine, and you have 5 days of doing it, and you have visions, and there's the shaman that leads the group. And there are helpers of shamans all in the room, and you're there with 45 people, and the room's dark, and they have music, and you slowly hear the noises. When I mean noises, it's everything. Everything.
Are people like...
There's some dancing that's going on in the middle of the ceremonies. So for me, my perspective was, I'll make it real simple for you in a way that's like, everyone's different in experiencing this, okay? Some people come out of it going, well, I did it. I really didn't get much of it because, I just wanted to get through it. Or it wasn't really, I didn't like the throwing up. It was too much. And I remember starting, and I was at a very high boiling point in my life. So emotionally, I was prepared. And the guy who opened this place up many years ago, he was talking to me. He's like, "You're vulnerable right now. This is perfect for you. You're going to be open. You're not going to be like, you just got to go with the flow of it, right? It is scary because you do have visions. You do see things. Your DMT drops. You see the light. You literally see, your past. You can go and see you as a 4-year-old in a corner when they had your first traumatic experience, and where your ego kicked in and said, I'm going to protect you, right? I'm going to protect you now. We're going to put a shield up. Your ego's going to kick in, and we're going to put that away. We're going to store it, and we're never going to tell anybody about it. We're just going to, you're going to be that person and protect that, right? And that's going to build over time in your life. So you're able to go back and see that traumatic event. And you're able to heal yourself because you forgive yourself. Not the person that did something to you, mentally or physically, whatever that may have happened. But you. It was horrible, but you. This is about your journey, right? This is about your release to say, what's the toxic trait? What am I grieving about? What is holding me back? What are these patterns that I'm in? Like, I need to go back and figure out because when you think about kids and how, when you watch a child eat ice cream for the first time, a baby, for the first time, you will see joy like no other. No other. Yeah. That is life with all through the heart of love, and everything's balanced. It's just like, wow. They walk outside, they're like, see trees and sun. That's life, right? Right. Something happens to them, whether between the age of 2, 4, 6, 8. That's very traumatic for them. That could be a physical abuse. It could be an emotional abuse. It could be something as simple as falling off of a chair and cracking their head, and they remember that and they protect themselves. And that's how we build all these walls inside of ourselves. And with ayahuasca, you're able to see that. You're able to go through that process.
And what, release it?
Release it, because
Okay.
you're healing yourself.
Okay.
I have problems with my mother or my father. I go back and I said, there are moments where it was in ceremony, and when you need help, you raise your hand. I need help. They come over. The shamans come over to you, and they bless you. They have sacred feathers. They have the Florida water. They pray over you, and you're speaking because you're on this ayahuasca, and you're able to consciously speak it out. So I had this vision. I did this, and I feel horrible. Or my mother was horrible to me, and she was, she's the one that hit me, and they're like, and I'm angry because why did you do that to me, right? Why did you abandon me, or why did you hit me? And they're like, no, you have to understand, you have to forgive them. They didn't know, right? And you go through that pain, and then you're able to forgive yourself through it, and you feel that release. You feel that like it wasn't their fault. It's not my fault, right? I got to let that go. So in order to let that go, you have to go through that darkness. You have to go through it. There's no other way to get to light. You have to go through the darkness. And a lot of people go, well, you know what? And I respect that. They don't want to uncover that. To them, it's like,
I'm less afraid about uncovering that. I mean, the way you explain it sounds amazing. It sounds like, wow, every person should be doing that. What I think about is I'm the person who gets down there and I bug out so bad they're taking me to the hospital because I'm like,
There were people that were very aggressive, and they were outside, and
like I feel like I wouldn't.
They were tied down on the mattress.
Yeah, like I feel like that would be
happens.
me, like because
You get
I
through
would
it.
be.
They would be there. They talk you through it. They're very, it's medically staffed. They're very protective. It's very safe.
So this,
you have your breath work, like you know how to breathe. Like we're going to breathe. You're not going to go through. I'm going to be like living my life. I'm going to be stuck seeing an elephant with their head.
Well,
like,
I
don't
used to
see
have
people all over the place.
I used to have bad anxiety, and I've had some like debilitating panic attacks in my life. And I'm like, I'm dying, and I'll say I'm dying, and the person I'm with like, well, you're not dying because you're telling me you're dying. Like you're breathing. I'm like, I can't breathe. I'm dying. They're like, well, you're breathing because you're talking.
Right.
But like that, I think of like. When I think of something like that, I think of the worst panic attack of my life, for 5 days. Like
1 day of ceremony is equivalent to 12 years of therapy, and the last day you do yahe, which is a 5,000-year-old indigenous ceremony, and it's intense. It's a longer. You fast for 24 hours before you do it. You take the yahe. It lasts from like 8 till 12 o'clock the next day, and you haven't eaten, so. You're starving by the end of the night. And usually at the end of the night, the lights go on, you talk about your experiences. And some people are still tripping balls, meaning like they're still funky, but they get them back to your room, you're good. My experience was a little bit more, it was personal to an effect of like everyone's different. Like I just remember like trying to get back to the room and laughing, like trying to I'm very Catholic. So like I go back to my sermon, I got like my St. Joseph card, I got my St. Teresa card, I got my prayers, like I'm saying, I'm lying in bed, I'm good. And all of a sudden ayahuasca trips in again in my brain. I'm like, I can't go there right now. Shut up, stop. I get the message. So everything you think you want to get the answer to, she gives you the complete opposite.
Wow.
You can go and say, I want to work on my anxiety. Right? I'm a very anxious person. I have panic attacks. Help me heal that. And then she'll show you something completely different.
Yeah.
And that's the source of your panic attacks. And it's like, you have to go there though. Because you'll be in ceremony and you have a vision, whether it's with your eyes open and you're seeing things or your closed eyes. And they say that if you see cartoons to your right and they're laughing and you're like, you want to go laugh for an hour? Or do you want to see the person who's to the left who's cutting the grass and he's got a cloak on, and they're like, go to that dark side. Don't go to the cartoons.
Go there.
Go there. Because that's going to show you where your panic attacks come from, right? What's your source of it? You may think you know what it is, and you'd be like, you know what? I've been grieving over someone for 8 years, and they've held on to me. Like literally, this person has been has not let me go. I need to release them because I can't grieve for you anymore. I cannot hold on to you anymore. I love you. It's okay. Like, don't make me feel guilty anymore. Like, don't make me feel hurt anymore. Don't let me continue to feel that pain. I need to let you go. And you see that. And they're like, okay, I will let you go.
Well, this is like a big thing within the veteran community. I've had veterans on here that have gone and done this. And in fact, there's Dan Crenshaw is a congressman who was a SEAL.
Yeah.
And he's pushing for psychedelics in treatment for veterans.
It should be.
Now, it's not fully recognized. There is a group that, a large veteran service organization that we work with that will not recommend it as a treatment plan currently.
Right.
Though they've seen some great results from it. They've also seen the veteran that comes back and thinks he's Jesus. And, And so they've seen some things.
I definitely can walk on water now, so I'm fucking good, man. You know what? Bring some bread in, and I'll fucking change it to fish right now. You'll be like, what the fuck is going on?
They should be using you, just like I say you should be out there advocating for the military community. Like, gosh, everything you just said, they should put that in a commercial and
be sold.
You'd have people heading down,
feel the dreams,
to Costa
baby.
Rica.
Feel the dreams. Let's go.
Yeah. But
I completely understand it. And I think that that's a really interesting perspective that you have with that, and question-wise, like some people come back, and I don't know those people. I guess
you know what your experience was,
right? And it's not for everybody. I'm not saying you have to do, like, you can find your own path to going into certain areas. Some people just don't want to open up all those past traumas. They just don't. But at the end of the day, when no one's guaranteed tomorrow, and we go to whatever that side is, it's a light, and you go through it, and we're vehicles. Our souls go on, and that is, to me, is a recognition of pure kindness at its best. I don't care. Like, I cannot like this person, but I'm going to be kind to you because I'm going to take the higher road, right? You did this to me. Well, you know what? You have to live with that. I don't. I have no bone in my body that wants to be vindictive or come back at you. Karma will take care of you. Universe will take care of you. That
and
may
you
not
feel
be
all
me.
that in the wake of doing this.
Yes,
okay.
More so than I did in the past. Obviously, but it was just a very enlightening experience for me. And as an artist, I think from being a director and an actor and a producer and putting people together and creatively, it helped me considerably. I thought it would be doing the opposite. I'd be like, shit, what am I going to draw on now, right? As an actor, what am I going to pull? Like, what's my subtext? Like, where am I going to grasp?
I'm super interested in it all. It's just, for me, it's like, it scares the shit out of me.
And it should.
Yeah.
It'll be the most terrifying thing you'll ever do in your life.
Yeah.
By far.
Well, I'm a big proponent of anything I'm scared about. I explore more.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid of it. I want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm scared. I want to do it.
Yeah.
It's gonna take this much to do that. I want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, that excites me. Like, to me, that's the exciting part of life, is like, oh, there's no way you can accomplish this shot. I'm like, watch me. Yeah. There's no way you can get to that scene emotionally. Watch me. Like, there's no, like, I do it for me. I don't do it for...
Well, you only grow from things that scare you.
Oh, 100%. Like, that's the whole point. I mean, that's the point. Like, listen, doing a show like SEAL Team, it was your growth period, right? It was for me at that time in my life where it was much needed. And the thankfulness and the love I got from the military community was like all hands open. When I receive DMs and Instagram from guys or girls that are like, I was going to put a gun in my mouth last night and shoot me, and your show has changed my life. I have lived because of your show, and you have changed my life, and I've reached out to get help. To me, that's the biggest award I can get doing the show like this. 100%. It's not about Oscars and Emmys and presentations and fucking bullshit carpets, man. It's about effectiveness. It's about putting stories out that people can relate to in this specific community, understand it, and they can heal from it, and they can understand, and they can feel that and say, you know what, thank you for that. I needed to see that.
That's awesome. I love it. All right, this was great. I'm going to ask you the same question I ask everybody as the last question. What does living a resilient life look like for you?
I'm living it. I'm in it. because I don't take tomorrow as a guarantee, right? And I think that you have to be balanced. I know you have to be balanced with your head and your heart, because if there's an imbalance, then there's no resiliency anymore in your life. There's no strength. You can't be up here the whole time.
Balance with head and heart.
That's it.
Awesome. Good stuff. David, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me here in
great.
this. I like this little room.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It's a cozy
I like
little
the
room.
bar. Man, if it was later, we would have started drinking.
Yeah, we would have gone.
That happened to me Sunday. I was supposed to go to my parents' house. I ended up going to a barbecue in New Jersey in Voorhees. I got friends of the Flyers. I got players there, and like next thing I know, it's game on, and I'm like, I got to drive home.
Yeah,
I can't take an Uber. It was,
there
but that's a Philly thing.
That's a Philly
thing. I'm excited right now to get a cheesesteak.
Well, I guess you're going to Angelo's because you don't like D'Alessandro's. Who knew? I've never heard anyone say they don't like D'Alessandro's.
I didn't say I didn't like it.
You said it was soggy or wet.
It was a little wet.
Like, well, what do you get on your cheesesteak?
Don't have to get all stizzy on me right now.
What are you getting? What exactly are you having on that cheesesteak?
I like it, I just like Cooper Sharp, or I like American, like the original, just a regular, just that's it, steak and cheese. That's it.
See, I think sometimes D'Alessandro's is dry. That's so funny. I just had one after the Springside Chestnut Hill game. Maggie was like, "Can we get us cheesesteak?" I'm like, "Yep, D'Alessandro's is too."
Well, I have to go back to D'Alessandro's.
I think we have to give another try. Yeah.